They gave up on the maths problem twice as fast as those who were allowed to just get a free leave. It's just that our patience has gone down a lot low. Yo guys, namaskaram. So Debukidastak is a platform where we talk on mental health and a lot of other sensitive issues, right? So basically, the entire aim of this channel is to build a community around sensitive issues and make people feel comfortable about themselves. So basically, if you're new here, consider subscribing. Our mission is to empower you with ideas to live smartly and joyfully. The world is full of suffering, but let us increase our competence to deal with things joyfully. And just a tip, so all these are basically conversations, so I might suggest that you should watch these conversations at 1.5x. You can increase the playback speed through the button in the settings. Cheers and enjoy watching. यो गाइस नमस्कारम. सो आज हम बात करेंगे कि अगले साल भी और द कमिंग ईयर 2023 where you would fail in achieving your goals. So let me just start with a very basic example. So there was this friend of mine, a writer friend, and I distinctly remember that when I was in 10th, he wanted to kind of become a writer, and over the next 7 years, like he produced his first book of 300 pages. So his output was roughly close to 6 lines of print per day. So when I kind of asked him about his productivity, he said that, researching is just more fun rather than writing. And he used to sit at his desk just surfing through the web for hours and hours on end. And we were just immersed in the most absurd of books, all in the hope of just kind of hitting that perfect story or getting that perfect idea. And that kind of struck me very hard in life, because I had seen a lot of people, or usually see a lot of people right now in life as well, that most of us kind of just wait for suitable inspirations, or we just kind of wait till we get the right mood. So when we plan on doing something, like we wait for eons at end to even start that thing. And usually हम क्या सबसे कॉमन बहाने देते हैं, जब मेरे पास ये इक्विपमेंट होगा तब मैं शुरू करूंगा, जब मेरे पास वो रिसोर्स होगा तब मैं शुरू करूंगा, जब मेरे पास ये XYZ चीज होगी तब मैं शुरू करूंगा. So you might have seen like a lot of people are doing this, they would continue to do this, but this is where we come into the picture, like how we can kind of just get over this tendency. So this tendency is basically known as procrastination, so not a new word. Like the question comes that, like, why do we procrastinate so much? Why do we keep pushing our dreams onto the back burner for eternity until we are faced with a life and death situation? So I think one reason is because the attention spam of people has become so low these days that, like, earlier जब हम देखते थे, like, there was a thrill in pursuing things which were good for you in the long run, क्योंकि there was no sudden dopamine hits. People used to kind of wait between what they wanted to kind of achieve and where they are currently. So this has become a very rare occurrence these days, because the time lapse between like the sowing like of your efforts and reaping the rewards of it, it's still the same. It's just that our patience has gone down a lot low. So I'll like kind of just go with some daily examples which I think you procrastinate on a daily basis. So of course, one is we compromise a lot on our health. So it could be a good habit of, let's say, pick going to the gym or picking up yoga for that matter, or anything which helps on our health and well-being. We kind of just skip it. Oh, okay, ठीक है, कल कर लेंगे, कल कर लेंगे, कल कर लेंगे. The other tasks might be you have certain dreams that I want to learn these many skills, do this thing, and you're just waiting to want to take action for those things. So learning that skill which can help you get more perspective in life, you just put that thing in the back burner. So now I'll take a very interesting example from psychology. So there was this psychologist by the name of Roy Boymeister, and उन्होंने एक बहुत crazy experiment किया. So there were like two groups of students. रफली बिटवीन 14 to 16 years of age. तो उन स्टूडेंट्स के सामने उन्होंने एक अवन रखा हुआ था जिसमें चॉकलेट कुकीज़ बन रही थी, एंड उसकी स्मेल पूरे कमरे में फैल गई. सो उन्होंने एक बोल रखा जिसमें देवर राडिशेस और मूली इन कॉमन टर्म्स बाय द अवन, एंड उन्होंने एक ग्रुप ऑफ स्टूडेंट्स को बोला कि तुम जितनी चाहे उतनी मूली खा सकते हो, बट तुम कुकीज़ खा ही नहीं सकते बिल्कुल. एंड उस कमरे में उन्होंने उन स्टूडेंट्स को 30 मिनट के लिए अकेला छोड़ दिया. बट फॉर द सेकेंड ग्रुप द ट्विस्ट वॉज कि वो जितनी चाहे उतनी मर्जी कुकीज़ खा सकते हैं. एंड आफ्टरवर्ड्स क्या हुआ कि दोनों ग्रुप्स को he had given a tough maths problem to solve. And the interesting thing was that the students who were forbidden to eat any cookies, जो मूली वाला ग्रुप था, they gave up on the maths problem twice as fast as those who were allowed to just get a free leeway on cookies. So this kind of really shows as to how we can kind of deal with procrastination, which I'll just link later in the video. So from this experiment, we kind of understand that to bridge the gap between wanting to do something and actually doing it requires a high degree of mental energy. The period of self-controlled that drained the group one's mental energy or willpower, if you might say, which they now needed to solve that problem, had drastically come down. So इससे क्या प्रूव होता है कि जो हमारी विल पावर है, इट्स लाइक अ बैटरी, एटलीस्ट इन द शॉर्ट टर्म, एंड if it's depleted, the future challenges would be much more tough to take on in that specific day. So now the question comes is like how this thing impacts us, and like what can be some ideal solutions. So there's this very famous author by the name of Stephen Pressfield. He had written this book called The War of Art, in which he says that this fundamental thing of our resistance towards doing certain things which are good for us in the long run is a force of nature upon us. There are a lot of nature influences, karmic influences, and those kind of things upon us. So nature बहुत ज़्यादा कोशिश करती कि we kind of don't evolve, we just stay what we are. So I think a practical insight from the above experiment would be that it's very easy, do the toughest things first in your day. To start with what you have been delaying yourself, you can just say yourself, like अपने आप को आप चूतिया बना सकते हैं एक सिंपल सा hack करके कि I'll just kind of do it for 5 minutes and after that I'll stop. So usually you'll see that once you're into the activity and once you kind of start doing it, you would automatically enjoy it and you would at least do it for 20-25 minutes, and that would just give you a push start. So most people kind of lose in life because जो शुरू करने का distance होता है between the actual thing, most people cannot cross that bridge. So if you kind of cross that bridge, you're already above 95-96% of the people. So this would give you more self-esteem, more self-confidence in your life, and you would be able to kind of approach challenges in this way, कि कोई भी challenge आ रहा है, okay, I'll kind of take it in my own way. A usual practical tip which comes in tandem with this is whenever you have decided to start on one thing, usually you should make sure that all the basic thing required for that specific thing should be already there on your table or on your work desk or workspace, whatever it is. So let's say if you want to kind of write a diary, made this endeavor in your mind, but ना आपके पास diary है ना आपके पास pen है लिखने का, या diary है pen नहीं, right? So just these small things. So once you kind of eliminate these all unnecessary distractions, you'll see that getting into the flow of work is much more easier. And a practical tip is, of course, taking healthy breaks in between to keep yourself motivated over the long run of the day. It's not that you just kind of deplete all your willpower in just one shot. So take nominal chunks of breaks. And of course, just some basic tips is being well hydrated and eating enough, which you can of course Google to kind of see what's optimum for your own body style. So that's one take in as to how we can kind of deal with procrastination. So if I have to kind of conclude it, there are just 3 fundamental things which I would take you away from this video. So one is doing the toughest things first in your day. The second is just starting that activity by saying, okay, I'll just do it for 5 minutes. And another practical tip would be your kind of self-imposing deadlines on yourself. and breaking the tasks in very small chunks, with each part having its own specific due date, because that helps you give accountability in your own mind. So I'd like to conclude with this quote, which is very famous, from Stephen Pressfield. He says that our job in this life is not to shape ourselves into some ideal we imagine we ought to be, but to find out who we already are and become it. And I think this comes when you're just kind of fighting resistance of your own true nature every day, and just shining to the best of your potential. So that's one take on procrastination. Let me know what you feel about this, and I'm hoping to hear your feedback. This is Debashish Pindra from Debukidastak, signing off. Cheers.